Welcome back. Hello there. It's the shed. It's your man, the shed. It's Andy. And here we are. So, for a couple of weeks, I haven't done a rest. Well, I done one last week actually, but that was more of a review of a Pacific pay per view. Well, today we're going back in time to the golden time of WWE, the Attitude Era. So, the golden era, as it was called, got my heater on. Bit chilly out there. Warm my little hands up. Anyway, so we're going back to the Attitude Era. The best thing about the Attitude Era is its segments. You know, as I said before, it wasn't all great, but what was great wasn't gold. It was platinum. It was so, so good. And we're going to take a little wander back down the past to see what we can uncover. So, obviously, at the beginning of the Attitude Era, we said bye-bye to Bret. And soon after, we said bye-bye to Shawn with an injury. So, obviously, we needed to get a new superstar. And who did we get? We got some redneck, bald-headed fella. The best thing about wrestling is you've had people who might have watched it a little bit in the Attitude Era, and they say, oh yeah, I used to like watching wrestling. A bald-headed guy still do it. No, he doesn't. He's finished. He finished years ago. You know, even if he hadn't got a broken neck and the knee injuries, he's in his 50s now. You know, he's not Goldberg. Chances are he would have finished. The good thing with Stone Cold is once he knew he couldn't be Stone Cold anymore and he would not be the best, the top guy on it, it was like, what's the point then? A few other wrestlers perhaps could have taken that sort of thought. Why are we seeing Goldberg again? Just saying. Not everyone dislikes Goldberg, and I get that. And I understand why you might like him. So, obviously, Stone Cold in the Attitude Era, he needed an arch enemy. What are we going to do? We're going to put him up against the wrestler? No. Let's put him up against the owner, because that makes sense. That's right, Vincent Kennedy McMahon was the heel to Stone Cold the face. But Stone Cold was a face? Are you kidding me? He goes round, he beats up his boss. Anyone else does that at work? Imagine going into work and beating up your boss. Oh, come here, fella. Boom. Yeah, don't think you're going to last long, do you? But that gave us some amazing segments. One of my particular favourite ones was when Vince apparently had a broken leg and he's in hospital. I'm sure you can remember this, Raw. It was the one where Mick Foley comes in and we get Socko and he's like talking to him and Vince is getting more and more annoyed with him and basically tells him to do one. Anyway, then the doctor walks in. Okay, nurse, I'll take over from there. Vince goes crazy. Stone Cold starts pounding on his leg, gets the toilet pan and it bounces off his head. Now at work I've got a very similar sort of sounding bowl which I enjoy smacking over my head or anyone else who could be around, then I could get away with it because it has that same noise. Also one of the greatest entrances, best pops in the Attitude Era has to be the broken glass and Stone Cold's do you know what I mean? It was great. We also had coming through Rocky Maivia, who turned into The Rock. Yeah, I wonder what he's doing now. Obviously, he's not wrestling. Can't think, you know. Anyone seen The Rock recently? I thought he was going to be quite big, but clearly, you know, wasn't that big. First man to become 7 times. First man to become 8 times. First African American to become WWE champion as well. Well done, The Rock. We had Mankind. Yeah, he was Mick Foley. He knew how to put himself through some pain, didn't he? You look back to that era. Obviously, there was the match against The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell. Well, that's the most infamous match in WWE history, bar none. If you can tell me any which are more infamous, then let me know. Not necessarily the best match. Certainly not. The thing is, with the particular pay-per-view that took part in, which I believe was No Way Out, whichever year it was. Could have got that wrong. I'm sure someone will remind me of what I got wrong there. The thing with that pay-per-view was that wasn't the last match. Mick Foley got so injured, at one moment the Undertaker thought he killed him. He had a tooth come from his mouth, because that's generally where you keep your teeth, by the way. In case you didn't know, might have a few thickos on there. Hi, Christian. And that tooth ended up in his nose. Yeah, up his nose. So, yeah. And then you've got The Undertaker. Oh, we all remember The Undertaker. The Undertaker came along at a time when wrestling was unbelievably not real. As in, you know, you make someone up. You make someone into a bin man and he's a wrestler. He drives a sports car. Well, he can be a wrestler. He's a Mountie. He's a policeman. He's a prison guard. He has a big snake. He's a model. He's anything. Let's make him into a wrestler. It was a bizarre. We had a berserker at one stage. Yeah. He was dressed up in a Viking type suit and would go around going, oi, oi, oi. There was the Kamal, who was the apparently African man, and they painted him in the black. Sorry, we painted him with all the face paint on him because, you know, colour of his skin always make sure he's some sort of tribal chief. The racism in wrestling as well in the past was incredible. R-Truth, who is in the WWE, fantastic. He was heel in TNA because of the colour of his skin. You know, that's wrong on any level. You know, it doesn't matter how right wing or left wing or whatever wing you are or how central you are. I'm sorry, but making someone a heel, by the way, if you're not sure, is a bad guy in wrestling. He was made a heel because of the colour of his skin. Is that right? You know, personally, I have an issue with that. Then we have Kane. So, in the very first Hell in a Cell, which was Shawn Michaels taking on The Undertaker, Vince McMahon, who was at this time a commentator, was going, that's gotta be Kane, that's gotta be Kane, that's gotta be Kane. Because in the good old days, Vince McMahon was a commentator. No one knew he was the owner until the Montreal Screwjob. And then here I am. And that's why he was the heel. But yeah. What else did we have? So I've already done my favourite, one of my favourite segments. There's many which, you know, go on YouTube and best of the Attitude Era, and you can have thousands of these. One of the most pointless, random but brilliant segments of the Attitude Era was when Mankind called out The Rock on his birthday and done a This Is Your Life segment. The funny thing was, it wasn't his birthday. I believe The Rock's birthday may be in May, and they were doing this in September. And they would bring out a former high school gym teacher, his home economics teacher, and a former girlfriend. If you've not seen it, go and watch it. It is pretty funny. Of course, Vince hated it. He said it was rubbish, and it went on for way too long. Yeah, I'll give it. The fact is, it was a wrestling show. This went on for about 25 minutes, and there was absolutely no wrestling whatsoever. But was it fun? Do I go back and rewatch it? Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. It was brilliant. We also got, of course, one of the most famous debuts in the history of our sport was the debut of Chris Jericho. Anyone who doesn't know who Chris Jericho is, shame on you. Shame on you. Chris Jericho went on to have an illustrious career in the WWE, became champion. He was, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, he was the man who beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night to become the unified WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Not that he mentions it much. So he was basically combining the WWE and the WCW Championship. Later on, they would go to two brands and bring back the WCW Champion as the World Heavyweight Championship. But that's a different story. We also had probably, if not the best, the second best era for tag team wrestling. Certainly the most violent time. We had, of course, gone were the days of the Legion of Doom and Demolition and the Rockers and all these teams. We had a new group with Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudleys, and they were put on some of the greatest tag team wrestling matches you're ever likely to see. They still today are some of the best. It's getting a bit hot there. Let's put it out. Don't really like what's doing the light. Let's turn it off. There we go. I'll get cold. It's all for you people. I'll get cold for you. Don't like what it's doing with this arm though. Can't put it the other side because I don't have a side there. So what can you do? What can you do? The other thing with the Attitude Era, of course, was how many people. How could you see? There was posters. Everybody seemed to have a poster, and they had all random stuff put on them. It was brilliant. One of the best things about old wrestling also was you would go to some random arena anywhere in the country, and they'd all look a bit different. You go to, I don't know, Pittsburgh, you've got an arena. It looks different to the one you went to in New York, which would look different to the one you went to in Los Angeles or Houston in Texas. Nowadays, you could all just do it at once. I know at the moment, let's be fair, they are doing it all in Florida at the moment, but that's due to COVID. But they all look different, where nowadays, you go to London, you do it at the O2. You go to the Barclays Center in New York. You go to the Staples Center in Los Angeles. They all look the same. They could all be in the same place because you've got the LED lights, you've got the stands and the ring and the entrance stage. It all looks the same. It's boring now. The Attitude Era, it all looked different. Anyway, it was must watch. Every week you would be excited for Monday Night Raw. Yeah, come on. This is going to be brilliant. Then they brought in SmackDown. SmackDown was pre-recorded, so didn't quite have the edge that Raw has, but it was still good. But they need to get something sorted with current Monday Night Raws because it's so dull. It's too long. That was what was good. It was an hour and a half of must-watch TV. But I still stand by the fact that there was a load of rubbish in the Attitude Era. But it was must-watch. You tuned in because you're excited about who Stone Cold was going to stunner this week. What was going to happen. You were like engrossed in it. It's lost a bit of edge over the years. Wrestling, at the moment, the best show by far for me is SmackDown. SmackDown is awesome. You know, you've got your boy Roman. Is he going to fight Edge at WrestleMania? Or is he going to go against Drew or Sheamus, depending on who wins? Guess we'll have to wait and see. But, yep, that's my take on the Attitude Era. Did I love it? Of course I loved it. I lived through it. I am one of the boys who experienced it firsthand. It was the best time. But as I say, you go watch a random episode of Monday Night Raw. The good bits, you're going to give a platinum up. The low bits, yeah, they're definitely going to stand out. On the whole, I'd say it was 50-50 as whether the shows were really good or really rubbish. There was no rubbish, to be fair. On the whole, the wrestling was good, you know. But the standard of wrestling nowadays, the ability that our current stars have, is much better. You look at the low mid-card wrestlers on there now, they can actually wrestle, they can go some. And, you know, the commentary team, you can say what you like about it. JR and Jerry Lawler, you know, they're iconic for who they are. My favourite personal commentary team was Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. Mainly Bobby Heenan because he was absolutely brilliant. He was the man who made Paul Heyman as good as he was, I would say. Paul Heyman is like your modern day Bobby Heenan, but Bobby Heenan had comedy on his side and was absolutely brilliant. Anyway, that's my review of Raw. You know, leave some comments below. If you like, give it a thumbs up. Please share and subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, world, we're out of here. See ya, pals.